Go ahead.
So you may, I hope that most of you, or I hope all of you can see the TV. We will be using this to show you some things and some slides as well. And I hope that you can see what's up here now. Maybe you're wondering why, but maybe you can also think a little bit and have some clues as to why we have this up here. What is this picture of? Tomatoes, right? Some tomatoes up here. So right there, by you identifying what is up here, you've done something very key. And that key thing that you've done is notice a commonality. A commonality here of these three objects up here, tomatoes. They are all three tomatoes, right? So you've noticed a commonality. What is a difference here?
Color.
Color, okay. So, what's that? Size, okay. Yeah, good. So size, color.
Mom, dad, baby.
Mom, dad, baby? I don't even know, but could be. Anything else? In back?
Old and young.
Old and young, okay. Is this the older one? Texture, somebody said textures, okay. Let's go back to commonalities here. We've said one, tomato. What's another commonality? Shape? Stem? Nobody's brought up the most controversial category of it. Fruit? Is it a fruit or is it a vegetable? Nobody was risky. It's a fruit, yeah, okay. So yeah, I mean, somebody might say, oh, they're all three fruit, and somebody else might say they're all three vegetables. So what we've done here is something that's actually very important and requires skill, and you're pretty good at it, which is noting both commonalities and differences, which are both important, especially in talking about this topic, and especially in working and thriving within diversity. So, before we move on, I want to come back to the question that I asked you at the very beginning, which is, what do you notice about me? Would anybody like to take a risk and just say, I mean, you might say, you know, he's a great guy, right? I know you were thinking that, but other than that, when I first asked you, what did you notice about me? Somebody very eager in the back to respond.
You like the color green.
I like the color green. Okay? Was that what you were going to say?
No, you're a Caucasian male.
I'm a Caucasian male. So thank you. Thank you for answering that question. I'm a Caucasian male. I'm a white male. Right? So this is a great response because I think it's very true. The very first things that we notice about somebody is their race and their gender. There's another thing we might notice that you didn't mention. It's the other third thing. Age, right? Age, how old I am, or maybe what generation I am, this type of thing. Very first things that we notice are those three things. Some of those are easier to talk about than others. Closer, got it. Thank you. One of the benefits of working with your partner. Yeah, and so one of the things that's probably the more challenging to talk about of those three is race. So the big picture for tonight is these three things. Talking about why is it difficult, can I talk about race, and what does it take to talk about race? And to move the process along, the conversation along, these three things. And our understanding and our goal for tonight is to talk at you for a little bit. And then at the end, for there to be questions for you to ask. So please have questions, and if you do, hold on to them and remember them, or write them down. I believe you have paper, as Pastor Mo said, and to hold on to those and ask those questions. So, why is it difficult? Why is it difficult? Well, there are a couple of reasons. And the first reason is it's unnatural. Why is it difficult to talk about race? It's unnatural. I see some faces, maybe a little... But if you can imagine people from a long time ago thinking about diversity, probably you won't imagine people sitting down and thinking about encountering another group of people and saying, "Ah, diversity, how wonderful," right? Probably that is not something that happens often. So it is an unnatural thing to talk and to think about diversity and the benefits of it. It means that there is some intentionality required to talk about this and to have a conversation, a good conversation about diversity. Another reason why it's difficult are these two things here, bias and stigma. You've probably heard these two words. But these things can get in our way in having a conversation or a dialogue in moving along in the process of talking about race and diversity. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about this. And before we go on to that, I want to make some distinctions in vocabulary around these three concepts or words because they're often used in talking about race and diversity and sometimes used interchangeably. And when we talk about it, we make a distinction. The first one is bias on the top here, and this we will come back to in a minute. I want to draw your attention to the bottom two, stereotypes and generalities, or generalizations is another way to say it. These two are distinct and not interchangeable. Stereotypes, making an assumption about a group of people based on little information, right? Or saying that somebody, a member of a group, will behave and act just like the rest of the members of that group. So this is a stereotype that's not based on data. Whereas generalities or generalizations are talking about tendencies that a group of people have. So they're tendencies. Do you see the distinction? So an example for generalization would be that Japanese people tend to be more indirect communicators. And that's an okay statement to make. And it can be a helpful statement to make. Because if I am going to enter into the context of Japan, I can know more about that context. I can say something and know something about that context that I'm going into. And that the people that I meet are more likely to be indirect communicators than me. Actually, I'm kind of an indirect communicator myself, but I can know something about that context. It doesn't mean that every person in Japan is an indirect communicator. And my wife here is a testament to that. So does that make sense with the distinction between stereotypes and generalizations?
I don't know if indirect communicator is a clear concept for everyone. So just real quickly, I'm a pretty direct communicator for a Japanese person, but I can be very indirect too because I was raised in that type of culture. So for instance, if I say, we get home, sit down, and say, "Paul, isn't it warm in here?" What am I saying? I'm not just saying it's warm in here.
You're warm.
Huh?
You're warm. You're warm. You're happy.
Right, so yes, somebody. Yes, please, turn up the AC. Do I need to ask you? No, I am asking. It's warm in here, I'm asking. That's a request. Would you turn up the air? Because I'm warm. So that's an example, a very simple but example of indirect communicator. And if Paul doesn't know that about me, then he will be clueless. Yeah, it's kind of warm. Right? So it helps in marriage to know that kind of stuff. Yes, I do have one example for stereotypes. Because we see this everywhere, every day. And stereotyping is, as Paul said, seeing a simple example or one example of some group of people and projecting that knowledge or image or fact onto the whole group, right? And we encourage everyone to think about these terms and talk about those terms with each other, because it happens in our life regardless of us welcoming or not. I remember, this is a very distinct memory of me because it shocked me. When our younger son Kai was probably in first grade, maybe even kindergarten, I don't remember. But he came home from school, and at the dinner table we always ask them, every day ask them, how was school? So how was school? And then Kai says, there's this one kid in my class, said so-and-so. He was just really crazy today. So, oh, what did he do? He's just really wild, And then he went on to saying, oh, black kids are wild. So I said, okay, who is wild? So-and-so. Okay, who else is wild? I don't know. Are there other black kids in your class? Yeah.